So, dear audience, thank you very much for the invitation to Leon, to this marvelous opportunity. Let me spend some general or more general thoughts at the beginning. After having quite a long period of economic growth in the world economy, but also in our country, in Germany, we face some tremendous uncertainties. We face some country, and it's not just only one country, who believes that the way back to renationalization is more promising than what we believe is promising, a multinational rule-based trade. We are deeply convinced, and that is something which unites us, Germany and Mexico. We are deeply convinced that a big portion of the welfare of several of the last decades is especially based on our idea of a free and rule-based global trade. And that has helped to bring people out of poverty in many, many countries of the world. This modern industrial environment, this competitive industrial environment has all of us brought to a higher level of competitiveness, to be better, to be in a better shape to serve our customers and serve their specific needs. And right now we face an enormous battle, a trade battle between two of the biggest industrialized countries, or two of our biggest trade partners, the US and China. And to make one point very clear, we share quite a lot of the points of analytics, how the Trump administration looks at China. We as a BDI have issued a strategy paper or position paper on China in January this year, which made some waves, not just only in Germany, not just only in Europe, but of course also on the Chinese side, who our Chinese contact partners are seeing several of those things differently, several of those things which we addressed. In our belief, China is a kind of a strategic rival, if you want. It's already a developed country, although they try to tell us that they are still a developing country, not a developed country. And this distinguishment is relatively important because it gives you a total different rule set when it comes to WTO. And we also believe that what we call reciprocity, same rules on the same level playing field, are not yet fulfilled. We have to work on that. But on the other hand, I have to clearly say that the way of working on that which is done by the US administration is by every means not the way we from a German side or from a European side believe that we should negotiate with an important trade partner. And we have a different challenge as well, especially in Europe, which is Brexit, which is a kind of an elephant in the room. The last almost 2 or 2.5 years we spent about politically discussing what a Brexit means and what the different shades of Brexit, from a very orderly Brexit to a cliff-edge scenario, mean for our societies and for our industry. And that is still not solved, as you probably all know, because we are still facing a situation where it's not quite clear for us in Europe what the British side really wants. They've not addressed their wishes clearly, and that hasn't significantly improved under the regime of the new Prime Minister. And given all that, I'm a strong believer that it's even more important that we keep a close relation to our strategic allies in the field of economy. And that's, for example, and on a very high level your country. We are sharing the same strategic ideas. We have a joint commitment to a liberal market. Your country has free trade agreements with 45 different countries. Your country has a geostrategic, very important location. It has a favorable production with favorable production costs, and it has a good infrastructure. And I think if you just name that, you see that we are kind of close partners in that and should even improve this partnership. And when I say improve, that's not meaning against others, but improve means that joining with friends, pulling on the same rope in the same direction. And Mexico has become our largest trade partner in Latin America, having surpassed Brazil as a country with almost twice as much as inhabitants as Mexico. So let's see where our opportunities are in the field of digitization of industry. The world economy is changing rapidly, and one of that reasons is digitization. Digitization is not a really new phenomenon. Those who are as old as I am know that it has begun in the 60s. But what has tremendously changed in the last 5 to 10 years was the speed of that development. Because we have a lot of new techniques, started with a new address room of internet addresses, which we didn't have before that. So this new room of internet addresses allows us to give a unique and specific address to each and every item. And that is the precondition to go from communication between man to machine to a machine-to-machine communication within a production process, but far beyond production processes within one factory. And there are numerous other preconditions which are now fulfilled and are now the basic reason why the development in digitization is so fast all over the globe. For example, take 5G or fiber to the home, which means in my context, fiber to the factory preconditions. Thank you very much. And very often when I discuss this subject, I'm confronted with the question, have we lost a race against US or maybe against the big Chinese players, against the Amazons of that world, against the Googles of that world, or against the Tencents or Alibaba of that world? Please excuse me for a moment. And I always say, no, I'm a strong believer that we have not lost that game. Because I believe that these are two different games. The game of business to consumer is a totally different game than business to business. And we are now at the point where the digital solutions, the industrial Internet of Things starts. And that's the reason why we have to be fast. Because, of course, Amazon has already a bit changed its strategy. Amazon Web Services are not primarily directed to the business to consumer area, but already directed to the business to business area. So only if we are fast, we have a chance to keep the business data, which are now in the hand of the big industrial big industrial players and big industrial countries. Then we have a chance to put those data into a digital world to form platforms of industrial data and by that form the industrial Internet of Things. And if you look back in the year 2011, so not too far away from now, that was the first time when the expression Industry 4.0 was introduced by a keynote of a German colleague. And this phrase refers to the fourth industrial revolution, The core of that fourth industrial revolution is that we now have cyber-physical systems which can be and are interconnected and are capable of communicating autonomously without any influence of a human being. And I'm really proud that Germany is believed to be one of the leaders in that concept. But as I said, we have to be fast to keep that advantage. And I think one of the biggest benefits of the use of Industry 4.0 technologies is that it allows us a much more flexible production. And if you look at the world through the eyes of a production engineer had always one dream, that was combining lot size 1 in a production process, in a very automated production process. So combining the advantages of having a small lot size with an industrial production. And it's industrial Internet of Things which allows us to do that in numerous ways. For Germany, the German Federal Minister for Economic Affairs and Energy estimates that Industry 4.0 will lead to 153 billion euros additional growth by 2020. As far as I'm concerned, I'm always a bit skeptic about those prognoses because there can be a lot of subjects on the way which are pretty hard to predetermine, and it's pretty hard to predetermine their influence on the outcome. But at the end, whether it's 153 or 120 billion, there are enormous chances if we take it. And when I say taking it, it's primarily addressing to the entrepreneurial world, to the enterprise world. Say, do it, and not just the big corporates, but also the very, very important small and medium-sized businesses, which together with the big corporates form value chains or value networks, which we see as one of the advantages of industrial Internet of Things. And that brings me back to that point that I see a lot of chances in working together between Mexico and Germany, working together not only on the level of the industrial associations of both countries, but really working together on a value chain and value network basis with the companies involved. As far as Germany is concerned, we, from our BDI side, from our German association, we have issued a kind of a catalog of industrial internet data platforms which already exist in Germany. And of course, we have to be honest. Right now, these are more or less platforms in the traditional chimneys of interconnected businesses, either business segments or a customer to supplier relationship and so on. That's not what we mean with platforms. Platform is much more, but before we get to those data platforms, we of course have to do some homework. We have to solve or find answers for some of the digital challenges. And especially when it goes across the borders of one company, and even more if it goes across the borders of countries. We have to address the issue of standardization. We will need a kind of an international standardization, at least on a level of open systems. Standardization not meaning that you again have a kind of a locked-in effect because you're bound till death to one supplier. That's not what I mean. But we have to define standard models how we can interchange data in open systems. We have to get right the issue of cybersecurity. And let's be honest, right now we do not have the solutions to cybersecurity. And of course, we also have to solve the problem about saving intellectual property, because when we are not able to solve those issues, especially the small and medium-sized businesses who cannot afford to have their own framework, or most of the times cannot afford to have their own framework, will not participate. And if my dream of an industrial Internet of Things comes true, that means really that we can form value chains and value networks all around the globe, between customers and suppliers, between different sizes of industrial partners. So let me try to a kind of a conclusion. The ongoing transformation towards an Industry 4.0 is in fact a kind of an industrial revolution. Moreover, this concept sets the course for new business models that secure economic value creation and competitiveness for those countries and those companies which gonna to participate in that. And as a country with a strong industrial sector, there is no doubt that Mexico can also highly benefit of that transformation towards Industry 4.0 concepts. And in order to fully exploit the potentials which lie in this fourth international revolution, Industry 4.0 has to be regarded as a project to digitize the complete value chain, not to stop at the end of your production line, not to stop at the end of your factory, but go beyond your factory and go even beyond national borders. And by actively promoting international activities in this area of standardization based on open systems, addressing the issue of cybersecurity, addressing the issue of free flow of data concepts, I think Mexico and Germany, these two countries, can play an important, maybe even a leading role towards achieving that goal. And even if Francisco is not yet here, I believe I've not yet seen him enter, he's probably still kept downstairs at the booth. I can convince you that our both organizations, CONCAMIN and PDI, we will even in future, and also we will also in future work closely together, and in a short time period we have promised to try to set up some impulses to this bilateral cooperation I see between Mexico and Germany. And beyond that, I'm happy to perceive how mutual respect and partnership could foster this economic cooperation. And at the end, I'm very, very positive. If we succeed on that, we can prove all those who believe that national wealth can be improved by keeping up borders and by imposing duties or import taxes. We can prove them that their economic way is the wrong way, and our open way based on an Internet of Things in the industrial world is the right way. Thank you for listening.